perfect and holy reflection of God, innocence of all life, finding in the center of the heart the willingness to accept that only peace exists, that only harmony is real, and finding the willingness to surrender the past and all beliefs in conflict and difficulty into the hands of God, the willingness for divine transformation, the acceptance of the power of love, the center of your life. This is the journey of love, the journey of remembering love, in the belief that you've separated from God. You made a story that had a convincing identity within it. And that convincing identity has run the show. You've lived in a trance, believing in concepts and identities that have no truth. And every beloved walking in the world, incarnated, determined to live alone, and yet hating it and believing that the aloneness was your punishment. In this moment, everything can be healed. In this moment, in your willingness to surrender what you think you know, freedom is waiting. Love is waiting. To no longer be afraid of love. To trust that in the melting of love, it is peace and joy and freedom itself. In this moment, the willingness to surrender the past, truly, refusing to accept the mind's interpretation of what you think you see, what you think you experience, what you think is happening, and what you think you are. All surrendered, all relinquished. And as you relinquish all that you think you are into the hands of God, and accept the miracle of healing, the past will begin to disappear. The past will no longer be alluring to you, wanting to revisit pain and suffering and battle from the past, or trying to hold on to images that you have made from the past that affirm your belief in separation, your knowing, your protection, your defense. All of this you've made in the insane belief that you needed protection and that you were a body. Now is the moment of declaration. I'm no longer willing to accept lies. I'm only willing to accept the promise of God, the promise of peace and harmony and joy. I'm no longer willing to attack the world and myself with my thoughts, with my knowing, with my concepts. In the words themselves, my knowing, my concepts, my evidence is the clue. The belief of a separate self, the belief of the personal identity that holds mine as real and focuses everything through the belief of mine. Now, returning to love, into the divine union of love, expanding the heart consciously to accept I am the light of God. I am that. I am. Only one. Not two. An opening to the brilliance of the power of love that is all really that exists. The willingness to melt into love. In this moment, the willingness to surrender the future. Concepts of the past love to catapult into the future so that you are constantly in fear of trying to control outcomes. And this is a new leap of trust. Trusting that when you put the future into the hands of God, love will unfold. No longer willing to interfere with the harmony of the universe by making separate identities and stories. In this moment, the willingness to surrender the concepts of differences that have been used for attack, that have been used for the erroneous belief of protection. Believing in these differences and then adding elements of levels and degrees of good and bad, right and wrong, more and less, wanting to know and control. All of this pain is being called to be now surrendered, to recognize that this is where pain comes from the concept of separation. In truth, there is only love. And the willingness to open the heart and expand the heart through intention to embrace everything and to give love to everything. The willingness to expand the heart, to invite all beloveds into the heart, surrendering every concept of enemies. Affirming, I'm here to love. I'm here to offer love. I'm here to remember love. And breathing into this moment, sacred breath. That through the sacred breath, everything becomes connected. Breathing deeply and fully. Breathing into all the energy bodies and affirming the willingness to surrender the emotional body into the hands of God. Willing to surrender all perceptions that come through the emotional body coming from the mind, all beliefs of difficulty, caution, suspicion, rejection, all beliefs of upset, all beliefs of danger, all fear that comes through the emotional body now surrendered. Surrendered into the hands of God and allowing for the emotional body to be surrendered into the hands of God, to be used by Spirit to express compassion, love in all of its various elements, charity, kindness, harmony, and peace, all expressed as it's held in the heart and flows out, blessing and comforting all beloveds. And continuing to breathe deeply and fully, surrendering all attachment to the physical body, all attachment to the identity as separate. Surrendering all concerns into the hands of God. No longer willing to have a private dialogue with the body of worry and concern, but accepting you're free. You're still as God created you. And you have never been a body. You have occupied bodies. Yet they are not the truth of you. You are the divine Spirit of God, eternal, endless, perfect, accepting and allowing the Spirit to reunite with all spirit, with one heart. this moment, accepting. In the divine union of love, that there is only one presence, is the presence of God. And within this life force, this presence, we live and move and live as the divine, the life force of God. This sanctuary is filled with love. This universe is all love. Nothing else exists. In this holy union of love, we remember. In this holy union of love, we forgive. Forgiving the past, forgiving all thoughts, forgiving all concepts, forgiving all mistaken identities that have no truth, now set free, disowned into the spirit of love. Only love. Allow your heart to be filled with your yes, with your divine intention, that your center of your heart is to remember love, that you have incarnated onto this earth plane to remember love, that you have no other purpose, no other job, that your holy purpose is to remember love, to reunite with the wholeness of love, to melt into the holy union of love with all creation. Letting this prayer fill your heart's intention. Oh, teach me to open my heart to those who come here to be healed. Teach me to open my heart to this love, to heal all this pain of this world. We have strayed from the love of our Father and wandered in pain since our birth. It was Jesus who came here to save us all, to release all this pain here on earth. Oh, my mother, the queen of the sea, it's your love that I feel inside me. Teach me to love from the depth of my heart, to heal all the pain that I see. My Father is here with his love. He shows how to care for us all. He loves everyone who has answered this call, all those who have answered this call. You have answered a call. And on this road of love, every beloved is called to stay in the vigilance of love. That this is the loving kindness, to remain vigilant, to not allow the past to be the habit of disappearing again into a trance of pain and suffering. The willingness to open the heart and offer love in every moment. Elevate my thoughts to God in the highest. let me remember and open to the brilliance of the truth of the light. The brilliance of all creation is a light that shines here and can open my heart when I'm willing. And it can invigorate my awareness, the stirring of the heart, the welcoming, that I am here to sing with praises to God constantly, affirming the truth of love. I'm here praising all divine beings. Hail to all these divine beings who are serving love's remembering and who surround every beloved in the truth and the light and the way. I accept the love. Elevei o pensamento desde nas alturas para reconhecer o brilho da formosura, o brilho da formosura é uma luz de alento que limpa meu coração e vigora meu pensamento. Aqui eu vou cantando que a minha lida é essa, viva Rei Juramidam e a rainha da floresta. To pray, to elevate your thoughts to God in the highest, is to ask for the surrender and the willingness to join in the surrender, that the thoughts that are being carried in your mind have been programmed and made up by a concept of self where there is no love. The concept of the self that completely accepts separation as real. The willingness to let go of these thoughts and to step out of the habits of the mind is the journey of love. To bring all attention to the heart and learn to focus on the heart's radiance and its radiation into the universe, rejoining its proper place in the oneness through love. The willingness to surrender all thoughts that have been made up, which are all thoughts that are not of God. And the willingness to empty the mind and return to peace. The willingness to accept the stillness, resting in the stillness that is within the heart and an empty mind. This is where peace exists. This is where love is waiting. This is where the divine is waiting to be met, in the stillness of the heart. A coat rack. Let this poem be a coat rack that you leave something on, that you leave everything on, something that you would be better off without, something that if you no longer carry its weight, you will look less cunning and dangerous, less inclined to explode. And you will remember more mirth, if a thorn in your mind you let me keep as a pincushion. Why not for you? Then the scent of your love will reach others and help draw them from their places of hiding. Their shields they won't need anymore to veil, to hold between our embrace. The world will be known as more miraculous, tender, joyful, and always giving. And your hands, angel, will then too be able to carry more of God off wherever you like to go. You could set him all around in places that you wish him found. This is the power of your yes. This is the power of your trusting that there is a coat rack that you can leave everything on, that is made up, that has been used for pain and suffering, and that has held you in the belief that you are cunning and dangerous. But now you're willing to be less likely to explode in the belief of anger, in the belief of resentment, in the belief of worry, in the belief of fear. Letting them all go, and then the scent of your love will reach others and will draw them from their places of hiding, because you're offering love, because your love is radiating, consciously radiating, because this is what you have chosen to remember, that you're willing to put everything on that coat rack. Now the ego would try to convince you that healing can't be that simple. But healing is not difficult. Your resistance to healing gives you a perception of difficulty. But in the healing itself is no difficulty. Love is waiting, patiently waiting, constantly waiting for the surrender, the willingness to let go of the sureness that your mind holds, thinking that you know, that your proof is real. To have a thorn in your mind is truly helpful. That thorn, if you allow it to be placed in your mind, will keep bringing you back to the recognition that this pinprick in your mind is what you're doing to yourself all the time. That every thought that you have that is not of God is a waste of time, has no purpose, has no value, other than you believe in its authenticity, and in the belief of its authenticity you suffer, because you're not remembering God. You're not remembering love. You're remembering habit of the past that has no value. Let that thorn be in your mind, pinpricking all the time, as a loving reminder that there's nothing in your mind that has been there since incarnation that is helpful. Giving all the power to God, where the power truly is, but recognizing and accepting it is the journey. To recognize that the thoughts that are in your mind of differences and levels and degrees and forms and temporary existence, it has no power. It has no power except the power that you give it. And as you give it power, you suffer. Because you keep affirming that you are separate, which you're not. But it's time to remember so that the scent of your love will reach others and help draw them from their places of hiding. But you can't serve two masters. You can't consciously want the scent of your love to reach others and help draw them from their places of hiding with compassion, with love, and be focused on what about me? Protecting and defending the me. The happiness of offering love has no equal. The joy of offering love has no equal. It is heaven, and it is who you are. Use the coat rack to leave and disown all that you thought you knew. All the concepts of scarcity. Believing that there is only so much love. And that there isn't an abundance. The belief that everything is about scarcity, lack. And the belief of the temporary. And in that belief of the temporary, you're being invited to use the coat rack to drop off something that you would be better without. But there has to be an honesty there of what you're putting on the coat rack. To let go of your concepts, your judgments and opinions. If you left those all on a coat rack, you would discover happiness. And you would look less cunning and dangerous, less inclined to explode. And the explosion is only self-attack. And the fear that you think you know something. The fear that you're right. But thank God, you're not. You're completely mistaken. You made up a world. Just because you made it up doesn't mean it's true. It isn't true. But it's true for you while you're believing in it. And it is the cause of your suffering. So why not come into the heart in this moment and let your scent of your love reach others and help draw them from their places of hiding as you bless everyone, as you have no opinions of anyone, as you have no perceptions of how things should unfold, that you have no concepts of wanting to be right, to make the future be like the past. This is not what you truly want. But the consciousness of letting go has to be brought into awareness. The willingness to reject the mind games of the past so that the scent of your love can reach others and help draw them from their places of hiding. Because you will have compassion in the recognition that this is not the truth of them, and that you will stand in the light with them, and that you will bring the truth of innocence and hold that for them and with them, that only love exists. And then their shields they won't need anymore to veil and to hold between the embrace of love. But first, you must let go of your own shield to no longer justify its validity, to no longer agree with the resistance to love and truth and light, which is all love. The world will then be known as more miraculous, tender, joyful, and always giving, because you have said yes, because you have finally laid down the swords of battle that come. These swords come as concepts. These swords come as judgments. These swords come as opinions. And it's time to put down these swords and open the heart. The world will be known as more miraculous, tender, joyful, and always giving. And your hands, angel of love, will then too be able to carry more of God wherever you like to go. And you can set him around in places that you wish him found, because these are the blessings of grace. This is your intention. This is your purpose, to offer love, to offer the truth of innocence by opening your heart and accepting each beloved as the Christ. The power of your decision is the power of peace or pain, depending on what you choose. To accept that you are alone in nothing. Everything that you think or say or do teaches the universe what you want to teach it, what you want to plant as your beliefs, as your statement of what your intention is in the world. Maybe you think that your thoughts are just yours, just hiding because you can keep them in your mind and think them privately as if they are private. But to recognize there are no private thoughts. Every thought that you have is either choosing love or affirming hate and fear. Not because necessarily you have murderous thoughts, but because the thoughts of separation, of your opinions of the past, are not thoughts of love. And they are not neutral. There are no neutral thoughts. Neutral thoughts are impossible. You're always affected by your thoughts. Always affected by your thoughts. If you do not choose to reject these thoughts as valueless, they keep affirming to you that you're separate. They keep affirming to you that there is an I that is separate. There is a me that needs to get, to prove, to do. And in that, there is no neutrality. You're alone in nothing. Everything that you think and say and do teaches the universe. Everything. Not because you're condemned, but because there is a respect that needs to be in awareness of the power of your thinking and what you're choosing. If you're choosing to bless or you're choosing to condemn with thoughts of separation, no matter what they look like. Do you want outcomes that are according to your perceptions of what you think you like or don't like? Those are not neutral. They are choosing separation. They affirm separation. When you have fantasies about how things should be and how you want things to be, and concepts and fantasies about how you see others or how you see things and what you think it means, this is not neutral. This is affirming separation, because these are not thoughts of God. These are made up self-concepts of opinions and judgments that have been used in the past to protect and defend against the perception of an enemy. So what is it to drop out of the mind, leaving everything on the coat rack, leaving the mind and dropping down into the heart, and letting the heart lead, letting the heart have all the compassion, have all the radiant power of God, because that's who you are. That you're willing to step into the stillness of the heart and commune with God. The self-loathing that you have believed in the past is what you're running from. The fear of being with yourself. The fear of entering into the sanctuary of the heart and recognizing the innocence there, the beauty there, the perfection of God there. But consciously willing to forgive all the concepts of the past, all the judgments, all the opinions that have been used lifetime after lifetime, affirming separation, but now accepting. I have no neutral thoughts. They are impossible because all thoughts have power. Whether you are aligning yourself in the power of love or the power of fear, even though it doesn't really exist, but it's true for you, is the world that you then make. And that you keep affirming. These thoughts will either make a false world or lead you to the reality of love. That's how powerful your thoughts are. They will keep you in a false world or lead you to the reality of love. There is an element of the ego that wants to be rescued, that wants to believe itself to be a victim, desperately wanting to be a victim, so that the fantasy of rescue is valid. But every beloved has to recognize the belief of separation that is running. running your incarnation to recognize, I've made this up. This is not the truth, but I've made this up. There's no condemnation for making this up, but it holds me in pain and suffering. It holds me in conflict. And the willingness to let it all go and to let the power of love lead you to the reality of love by surrendering your thoughts, surrendering all concepts of what you think you know and putting them all on the coat rack, letting them all go because they're not your friend. They are a self-attack. To accept that what you see in the world witnesses to what you believe and think. Everything that you see in the world as a problem, as a conflict, as dangerous, whatever it is, or something to get, or something to prove, it is all the witness to what you believe and think. When you see a problem, you perceive a problem with a situation or with someone else, it is because it is a witness to what you believe and think. And the quicker and the more ready you are to accept that, the more quickly the healing will occur. Because you're not determined to be right, that it's something outside you that is causing your pain, that is causing your upset. That all upset, that all perceptions of difficulty in any way are coming from the beliefs of separation. And to accept deeply in the heart that they're not true, that you are not separate from God. Just because you think you are doesn't mean it's true. Just because all of your evidence agrees with you doesn't make it true. Your evidence will make up whatever it wants to prove that it's right. But it means nothing. You cannot be hurt. You cannot be without. You cannot be separate. All concepts of being hurt are about being a body. They are all about being the flesh and blood that you think you are, the temporary identity, and everyone can already agree that the body is temporary. Mm-hmm. It is a temporary vehicle. It is not who you are. And you are either identifying with the body or recognizing the spirit. You can't do both. If you recognize the spirit, you're accepting that you are eternal and that you cannot die. The body will fall away, but you will not die. The light that you are, the divine consciousness of God that you are, is eternal, never dies. But it is not the individual that you think you are. It is in the wholeness of love. It is the one. Is there a fear of losing control? Absolutely. But this fear has been a propaganda. This has been an indoctrination of the fear itself. The belief itself that you must protect and defend your autonomy. protect your individuality because you've spent so many lifetimes working on it, protecting it, defending it, believing in it, obeying it. But now is the time for love to shine, for the truth to let the illumination have its way, to join in the illumination of love is to let go of what you think you know. In this divine humility of love, it is all about no longer knowing what you think you know, but accepting the way of love. This teaching, this poem, which came from the 1300s, still speaks to the same journey of consciousness. It's the same journey. The belief of separation has been what has run since the belief of separation began. And none of it has been true. Now is the time to let love shine, to accept the peace and the harmony of your divine self, one with God. No longer willing to hold the past against everyone and everything, as if they are guilty. Letting the past go. Letting the identities of the past go. Letting the story of the past go. And setting everyone free. To accept that every beloved is a reflection of the one self. That every beloved is walking in the same journey of incarnation, looking for the remembering of love. Many have not consciously recognized this journey yet. But it doesn't change the facts that they are innocent, that they have done nothing, that they cannot ever change the truth of love, that they have done nothing to change anyone in the truth of love, that there have been no enemies. To truly accept this is to open the heart. The only reason that the heart is defended is in the fear of love and the belief that you have enemies that you still hold as real. You hold the past as a memory that you rely on to affirm your need for defense. And you're not accepting in that everyone is the light of God. And if you are innocent, which is true, then everyone has to be innocent. You are not innocent without everyone being innocent. If you believe others have done something, then you have to accept that you've done something too. And all of this is a no to God, because the promise within God is that you have done nothing. And that this dream does not make it so that anything has happened. And the willingness to accept reality. that you are the light of God, that you're completely innocent, and that nothing has happened. But the healing is in your everyday life. You can hold a concept that nothing has happened, but if in your everyday life you are living as if something is happening, then you can't hold that nothing has happened. If you are in reaction to your beliefs and perceptions of your thoughts and your perceptions of what's outside you as real and authentic, then you can't hold that nothing has happened to change you as the light of God. It is in the everyday living that the lies fall away, that you accept that only peace and harmony exist. To truly accept that in every moment, if you have a thought or you are experiencing something through the body and your interpretation of it is that it's a difficulty or a problem or a threat, then your immediate awareness can be, I'm making this up because is this thought, is this experience that I'm seeing of peace and harmony? And if it's not of God, and you're making something up. And that is where the surrender is, in that moment. The refusal to accept the lies of conflict. To recognize that there is only one problem, that you believe you're separate from God, and to no longer be enticed to believe that you can make up these different scenarios and it can all look like different problems so that you can stay really busy dealing with what looks like different problems when there is only one problem. You believe you are separate from God. And because that is really not a problem, because you are not separate from God, there is no problem. To accept this is to accept the power of God. To walk in the light, radiating and joined in the power of God. There is no problem. You are not separate from God. You never have been. No matter what you think you know, it's not true. And that is where the healing of your heart is the refusal to accept the concepts of what you think you know. To no longer be willing to put your trust in the fabrication of your mind's habits. No matter what your beliefs are about the habits of your mind, that you think, oh no, these are thoughts that I've always done, and my habits and my concepts, and no, all those habits and concepts give you a false illusion that your concepts and habits are valid, even if they're about what you're going to have for breakfast. It's all habit and concepts of likes and dislikes that you've developed in order to stay separate, to believe you have a separate life, to be in charge, because this is what the ego thrives on, is the pretense and the illusion that you are in charge of something, when there's nothing to be in charge of. And the joining of love is to surrender each moment into the hands of God and want that divine guidance to truly open all doorways of what is most helpful in the moment. How could you possibly know what is most helpful in the moment when all that you're basing everything on is the past? But if you ask for that guidance to show you what is most helpful in this moment, love will show you. And a new road will be made, the road of surrender, the road of trust, the road of patience. Patience is trust made manifest. Every time you have the slightest element of you think something is not moving as you think it should move, or you think it should move slower or faster or whatever, this is a lack of trust in the perfect harmony, because you think your mind knows something. You have given your circumstance to your mind, and you think you know something. You think you know how something should be. And in that, until you recognize that how you think things should be will only repeat the past, there's no healing there. There's no possibility of healing there. There's no possibility of transformation there, because you're in what you think you know. And it always leads to pain and suffering, because that's all that the ego knows. Because separation, when you identify yourself as separate, and you see yourself as on your own, you are in pain. There is no joy there. There's no peace there. There's no harmony there. And there's no awareness of union. Does it mean that there's no union? No, but you're not aware of it, because you're in your own mind, making up your own thoughts, your own concepts, your own conclusions, your own opinions. And that is your suffering. There's a hymn that I received in the journey of love. And this hymn came from divine beings of light that were heralding that Jesus is here. That Jesus and all divine beings of love are always here, to be relied on, to be the leader of the way home. So imagine that you've surrendered and you're following. I will follow. Where you lead me, I will go. But there's another beloved who's off to the side that has decided, no, I'll do it my way. I find my own way. That beloved will fall into the sewer lines. That beloved will impede their own journey by affirming what they know and staying separate instead of joining in the following. The hymn that was received in that moment was an affirming that Jesus is always here. And that all divine beings are always here. All masters are always here. But they have to be acknowledged and asked for help There has to be a surrender to the awareness of where the wisdom is, and to no longer trust in your own knowing, because all of your knowing is coming from the past. It has no place else to come from. You have no place else to get anything from except the past. Your practices, your habits, your strategies, your concepts, that's all that it can come from. So you're going to be stepping back and back into the past, because it's not coming from any place else. But here is the awareness that Jesus is here. Surrender your fear. Surrender your sorrow. Surrender to the light. Jesus is here. Open your heart. Open your being. Open to the light. Jesus is here. Surrender to Jesus. Jesus is a Savior. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Jesus is here. To be so grateful that these divine beings are wanting to lead and will lead as you surrender. But this is a place of humility, because the arrogance of the ego keeps saying, I know. The arrogance of the ego says, I don't want to be led. I want to be in charge. I want control. And that erroneous place of believing that control has validity is all pain and suffering. It's all pain and suffering because there's nothing to control. You're controlling illusions. You're trying to hold on and rein in illusions that are constantly shape-changing and moving, and all based on your mind of the past. You're making up your own illusions, and then you want to control them. That's insanity. Those are just concepts. They have no validity. To return to the reality of love. Neutral thoughts are impossible because all thoughts have power. Where are you giving your power to? When you give your mind to the masters that were sent to you, to all the divine teachings, to bring the divine teachings into every moment, to shift and turn your alliance and your allegiance into the truth. That's your journey. To have enough loving kindness within yourself that you no longer want to suffer with your own thoughts. That you no longer want to suffer with your concepts of what you think you know. Holding this little kingdom of pain and suffering together. To be set free is to accept that you are the light of God, and to reject the habits of your knowing. All thoughts will either make a false world or lead you to the reality of love. When you give your thoughts to God and want to be led, you will be moving in a harmonious way into the truth of love itself. That's the healing way. Surrender. Surrender your fears. Surrender your sorrow. Surrender to the light. Jesus is here. Open your heart. Open your being. Jesus is here. It's not because Jesus is the only master All masters are one master. All masters are love. And that acceptance. That every master that has walked the earth in the name of love, to remember love. And all masters walk the earth, and in the remembering of love, entered into a dedication of serving humanity, to serve humanity so that the scent of their love would reach others and help draw them from their places of hiding. This is the purpose of every master. And this is the calling that you are called to by letting go of your mind and your concepts of separation, putting them all on the coat rack and coming empty unto God and trusting, thy will be done. Show me the way. Show me the way. And the realization that when the scent of your love will teach and reach others and help draw them from their places of hiding, that their shields they won't need anymore. That is the purpose of every master. And that is the purpose of every beloved who says yes to the truth of love. To step behind the master and follow and allow. Thank God I was mistaken about everything I thought I knew. And thank God only love is real. And I must accept this, or else I'll just stay in the insanity of what I've made. To accept no longer being willing to hold the past against everyone and everything, making them enemies. Every time you believe there is wrongdoing, it is because you believe in enemies and you're holding the past of what you think you know against them. That's all that's going on. But it's also a self-attack. Because when you have an enemy, you believe in the enemy within. You believe in your own condemnation. You believe in the condemnation of the world and the condemnation of yourself. There's no love there and there's no truth there. Only love is real. Only love is true. And the willingness to accept that what I see witnesses to what I believe and think. Period. And there is your road to freedom. Because if you are willing to accept that everything you see outside that you witness and that you believe is happening in the world is just what you believe and think, then you know where the healing is. The healing is in your own release of your own mind. Because it is self-attacking. In the pretense of being out there. But it isn't. And if it was out there, nobody would ever heal. The healing is the recognition, I'm making this up. Everything I think I know, every concept, everything that I have made, I have to let go. And recognize I don't know. I don't know what anything is for. I don't know how to look on anything. I don't know the meaning of anything. I don't know. I don't know who I am, what I am. I don't know. And in that open space, love can tell you about love. Because you've made room for love to enter by letting go of what you think you know. And no longer willing to suffer the agony of your own mind. Even when the agony of your own mind fools you into thinking that all your likes and dislikes are really important, and that all of your concepts of what you think you know, that you agree or you disagree, or that you give your approval to certain things as if this approval means something. It means nothing. It absolutely means nothing. It's made up. Approval, who is approving? Who's approving of what? Because it's coming from your past. Something that you've approved of in the past and that you agreed was safe or real or true or whatever, but it's all made up. Love needs no approval. Peace needs no approval. Harmony needs no approval. But it calls for your acceptance. To accept peace and harmony and joy. And to not settle for little thoughts of knowing that take your attention away from peace and harmony and joy. And the deep, deep gratitude of every moment, and to recognize that gratitude is love, and that there can be no peace and joy without gratitude. It's not possible. The gratitude has to be there, because the gratitude is the recognition that love is real, and that healing is the journey that you're on. And thank God you weren't right about what you thought you knew. Thank God your little world is not true. Do you really want to settle for a little tiny world that holds within it concepts of condemnation and lack and limitation? No one in sanity can want to accept that. Come home to the peace and the joy and the harmony through gratitude. Thank God I was mistaken. Thank God healing is possible. Thank God there is the grace of God. Thank God all beloveds are innocent. Thank God life is eternal. Thank God there is only one. Thank God there is no death. Thank God everything is innocent, and the story can fall away, and peace can return. It's who you are. It's what you are. And the only thing that keeps you from remembering what you are is your mind full of ideas of what you're not, and what you think you are, in a world of separation which has no validity, no accuracy. It's made up, it's illusion, it doesn't exist. Only love is real. Thank God.